Tánaiste, today the Troika will give their verdict on the first full year of implementing the so-called bailout. And I, for one, have no doubt that they'll place a big gold star on your copybook in recognition of your policy of cutback and the ongoing assault that you head on the livelihoods of low and middle-income earners. I've no doubt that they'll tell us that we're getting there, that we're ticking the boxes, that we're meeting our targets. But Tánaiste, tell us, where exactly are we going? And what kind of a society will we be left with when we get there? You know as well as I that the domestic economy is in a heap. Growth forecasts are routinely revised downwards. Unemployment is higher than when your government came to office. And thousands of young people emigrate. And now you cast your beady eye on valuable state assets. And you even sabre rattle in respect of the increments of low-paid public and civil servants. So tell us, Tánaiste, what is your assessment of the first full year of the bailout, of the austerity, as your government indeed approaches its first year anniversary in office? And tell us, as Tánaiste and indeed as leader of the Labour Party, is it your view that we are in fact heading in the right direction?
Thank you, Deputy. Tánaiste. Yeah, I'm very happy to answer those questions. My assessment of the situation is this. We inherited the biggest economic mess, I think, that any incoming government ever inherited. When we came into office last March, the banking system was broken, the economy was broken, and the country had been put, as my colleague Deputy Rory Quinn has often said, effectively into receivership by the previous government through the arrangements that were made with the Troika. What this government is doing and where we are going is we are taking the country to recovery, and we're making progress on that. Now, I don't want to exaggerate the progress that we're making, because the path that we have to travel to do this is a very painful path for people in this country, particularly people who have lost jobs, people who are difficulty with paying their mortgages, people who are difficulty making ends meet. There is no easy passage here, but we are on the way to recovery, and we are doing that. And whatever assessment the Troika make of the government's performance, and I expect that it will be a positive assessment, as far as the government is concerned, is not about gold stars on the copybooks or anything like that. As far as we are concerned, it is another milestone on the way to recovery. And if you look at some of the things that we have managed to achieve to date, first of all, for the first time in 4 years, the Irish economy is growing again. It's very modest growth, but it is growing. The figures that were published yesterday in respect of our trade performance, our exports, show that we have the biggest trade surplus now in the history of the state. That's progress, and it's progress that has been made by the government in the strategy that we have pursued in expanding our exports and trade abroad in order that businesses can grow here. The performance of the IDA, for example, in inward investment, the report of which was published by Minister Richard Bruton a couple of weeks ago, which showed significant progress in inward investment and the creation of jobs here. The budgets that we introduced, which even in difficult times we have been able to take 330,000 people out of the universal social charge that was introduced by the previous government, 1.8 million workers in this country who will not be paying additional income tax in 2012 as against what they were paying in 2011, 1 million people who are on social welfare payments whose basic rates of social welfare will not have been reduced in 2012 as against 2011. That is real progress in very difficult times, and we will continue that progress. And I think that, and I know that you and other colleagues here in the House have been talking with the Troika during their visit here, it would be helpful if on this occasion that you were to pull on the green jersey, assist the government of the country in dealing with the negotiations that we have to have with the Troika, and help the government. And yes, I did do it. Yes, indeed, I did do it. And I did do it. I did do it. And help the government achieve the objective that we have, which is to get the country's economy to recover, get us out of the bailout, say goodbye to the IMF and the ECB, and recover our economic independence again.
Deputy McDonald.
Tánaiste, I'm certain that I am not alone in the sheer boredom and tedium that I feel when I hear you talk yet again about your inheritance. You're in government now. This is your gig, and all of this is happening on your watch. And can I say to you, Tánaiste...
Sorry, could we have a bit of order, please?
Can I say to you, Tánaiste...
A bit of order, please.
...that it is utterly perverse for you to ask people to pull on the green jersey in order to bring about cutbacks in our schools, to the health system, to take 500,000 home help hours out of the system. That's not the stuff of the green jersey. That is the stuff of seeking your gold star and your copybook from your friends in the Troika. You say that we're all about recovery, and you say that we're marking milestones. Well, let's look at the stated objectives of this bailout. The objectives were deficit reduction on the one hand and re-entering the money markets on the other. And on both of those counts, the bailout is failing. The deficit remains at 8.7 billion, and the interest rate on 10-year government bonds remains at 7.5%. So, without even rehearsing yet again all of the utter misery that the agenda of cutbacks that you so enthusiastically pursue, that all of that is bringing to people's lives, even by those objective measures, the bailout strategy is failing. And it defies logic that a person who bemoans their inheritance, who urges others to put on the green jersey, doesn't have the simple wit at this stage to realise that when you're in a hole, you stop digging, and when a course of action clearly is not working, you change tack. That's the stuff of wearing the green jersey. That's the stuff of good government. That's the stuff of protecting our national interests and, above all, protecting our citizens.
Understood.
Well, first of all, I think, again, I think all of us here, whether we're in government or opposition, I think we owe it to the people that we represent in here to be straight with them. Now, when you talk, for example, Deputy McDonald, about the reduction in the 7.5% interest rate that it now attaches to Irish bonds, you might also tell people that that is in fact now about half what it was last year. It's down, and it's going in the right direction. It's not where we want it. It's not where we want it to be, but it is going in the right direction, and you might at least acknowledge progress. Secondly, let me tell you this. There is nobody on this side of the House enthusiastic about cutting any service to the public of this country. But we are in an economic and a financial hole. We're in a situation, Deputy McDonald, where we're short of money, and where that gap in money is made up by borrowing. And the approach that the government is taking, you have offered no realistic, and your party has offered no realistic, and unlike your colleagues north of the border, you are refusing to face up to the reality of the economic situation here. Because the policies that you would pursue would not just have the cuts that now have to be implemented in our services, but would be far deeper. Your approach, for example, refusing to repay... Yes, but you can't do that. You can't... Yes, of course. And that is all our policy. But you know, you don't get people back to work simply by making a declaration about it in Leinster House. It has to be worked upon, and you have to restore the confidence, international confidence in the country. In order to get people back to work, we have to persuade people outside of this country, first of all, to invest here to create jobs. We're doing that, and the proof of the pudding in that was the performance of the IDA last year. Secondly, we have to restore confidence within the country here so that we can grow our domestic economy, and dumping down on the country and dumping down on what we are doing as a country in order to bring about recovery doesn't do an awful lot to bring that about. And in respect of the money that we have to borrow in order to keep the state services going, what would you do if we weren't in a position to borrow that money? How much would you have to cut wages by? Are you going to go down to the Mater Hospital or to any other hospital in this country and tell the nurses that you're going to cut 30% of their wages? Are you going to tell old age pensioners, for example, are you going to tell old age pensioners that you'd have to cut maybe up to €100 a week from their pension? Deputy McDonald, it's time that you grew up and that you faced the economic reality that we are facing. And if you don't like what the government is doing, and that's fair enough, that is the privilege of opposition, then instead of coming in here every Thursday morning and belly aching about it, you might come in and offer a few positive suggestions.